The US and Canada are locked in a trade fight. A leaked memo shows how the US is lobbying against global plastic limits. And if you had thoughts about the Post list of the most influential works of American culture, you're not alone. That's some of what we'll get to on The 7 from The Washington Post. I'm Bim Adewunmi. It's Monday, August 24th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Number 1. Canada and the US are locked in a trade fight after talks collapsed. In a move that has shocked analysts, Canadian leader Mark Carney quit trade talks on Friday rather than accept concessions. In response, the US has imposed 50% tariffs. Prime Minister Carney has called the tariffs a miscalculation and has vowed to retaliate, matching them dollar for dollar. Here he is praising Canadians' resolve.
In the last year and a half, Canadians have met this moment with resolve, with purpose, with strength. In many ways, vacationing in national parks, buying Canadian products, choosing Canadians, small acts of solidarity, repeated millions of times that make a statement. We're masters of our destiny.
This is a continuation of a trade war that has been dragging on since last year, when President Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian goods for what he said was a failure to prevent illicit fentanyl from entering the US. It could be an expensive move for American consumers who are already struggling with high costs, since the tariffs will affect things like alcohol, furniture, and dairy products. Former US Vice President Mike Pence weighed in, urging the president to, quote, drive a hard bargain, but also show restraint.
But my hope is, for the sake of American families and for the sake of the American economy, that what we're looking at here is negotiation and not confrontation in a trade war. And that's how I would advise the president. Drive a hard bargain, but let's pursue free trade with free nations, most especially our trading partners to the north.
One analyst called Canada's walkout of the talks a big setback for Trump's trade policy. The Canadian tariffs will go into effect on September 8th. Number 2 is a Post exclusive. A legal argument for the White House ballroom may have a serious flaw. According to President Trump, the White House needs the new ballroom for national security reasons, for him and for future presidents. But former officials are saying that argument fails to acknowledge the underground bunker that already exists beneath the White House. That bunker is buried more than 60 feet under the White House complex and can house dozens of people. It was secretly built after 9/11 and has the capacity to house the president and aides for weeks. Chief Justice John Roberts issued an order last Friday allowing the Trump administration to continue ballroom work in the short term. That's as the Supreme Court weighs an emergency appeal in a lawsuit challenging whether the construction requires the approval of Congress. Officials told the Supreme Court earlier this month that construction of the structure, which goes 5 stories deep into the ground, was about 65% complete, and that about 250 workers are working 20 hours per day, 7 days a week, to quickly finish it. Number 3. Doctors say that Trump's weight poses a significant health risk. Over the past year, observers have raised a lot of questions about Trump's health. They've wondered about bruising on his hands, swelling in his ankles, his apparent drowsiness. Now, some doctors not associated with the White House have told the Post they're concerned about another set of health risks the president faces. The weight he seems to have gained since his last campaign would put him a couple of pounds shy of being classified as obese. It's no secret that the president has a love for fast food and a distaste for intense exercise. But White House physicians say they've advised him to focus on weight loss, improving his diet, and sustained physical activity. They've simultaneously pointed to demonstrations of Trump's healthy aging. His weekly White House schedule includes intense periods of meetings, press events, and public remarks. He spends many weekends playing golf. But outside doctors have said the 80-year-old president would be safer if he reduced his waistline. All of this as Trump's health secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., has said that helping reduce Americans' weight should be a serious priority of the Make America Healthy Again campaign. More than 40% of adult Americans are obese, and an additional 30% plus are overweight, according to federal data. Number 4. A leaked memo shows how the US is lobbying against global plastic limits. Last year, the Trump administration worked with other major oil-producing countries to block strict plastic pollution limits. This year, the administration has doubled down on this position in global treaty talks. That's according to a diplomatic memo reviewed by The Post, which warned that restricting plastics and chemicals could limit access to defense-related products like weapons materials and protective gear. The leaked document calls for a, quote, pragmatic treaty that includes a provision allowing for countries to take any measures they consider necessary to protect national security. The overwhelming majority of plastic is made from chemicals derived from petroleum or other fossil fuels, and the Trump administration has pushed to expand oil and gas drilling and domestic production. Global plastic pollution has ballooned to more than 57 million tons per year. A coalition of dozens of countries say this waste will become overwhelming unless the world imposes meaningful restrictions soon. Number 5. Fighting measles has come at a high cost to taxpayers. It cost $500,000 to contain one small measles outbreak in the Denver area this year. It was a relatively modest cluster, a total of just 10 cases involving 9 children and 1 adult. But it consumed almost 7,000 hours of labor by state and local workers, who had to track and snuff out the outbreak after exposed individuals traveled through grocery stores, schools, fast food restaurants, and more. Measles is the most contagious vaccine-preventable disease. Most infected children recover after several miserable days of fever, cough, congestion, and pink eye. But measles can also cause pneumonia, brain swelling, deafness, intellectual disability, and death. The US has recorded the most measles cases in 35 years this year, reminding us that there is an enormous human and financial cost to controlling the disease's spread once our defenses against it weaken. An invisible force is driving destructive floods across the US. That's number 6. Some of this summer's most extreme weather has been driven by an unusual combination of events, happening thousands of miles away from the US, over a remote stretch of the tropical Pacific Ocean. That's where a record-breaking El Niño, a marine heat wave, and the ocean-warming tailwind of climate change have sent way more moisture into the atmosphere than usual. That extra moisture has then been transported by winds to the contiguous United States and has helped fuel record-breaking rainfall in 44 states, covering about 90,000 square miles. The Post recently reported that this year's powerful El Niño is temporarily pushing global temperatures to levels that might not otherwise be reached for another decade. That's important because temperature rises are directly linked to the amount of moisture that can pulse across the planet. This summer's floods are probably a harbinger of more extreme rain to come in the fall and winter, especially across the Deep South and Florida. And at number 7, readers had notes on the Post list of the most influential works of American culture. Last month, our critics, reporters, and editors published their take on the 25 most defining works of US culture. Their list included Thomas Paine's Common Sense, the 47-page pamphlet that helped make the American Revolution all but inevitable, Levi's Jeans, Mickey Mouse, and Michael Jackson's Thriller. Now, that list was never going to be a complete survey. Our critics had constraints, like only one work could be chosen for every 10 years since the nation's founding. But our staff picks proved controversial. The Post received hundreds of messages after asking for feedback from readers who pointed out some big omissions. They wanted to know, where were the American monuments like the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, or the architecture and design innovations of Frank Lloyd Wright? What about Bob Dylan, or Elvis, or the sounds of Motown? Where was Barbie? Check out our readers' slightly more comprehensive list in our newsletter, and let us know if you think there's still more to add. All right, you're all caught up. Did you know that you can get a premium subscription to the Washington Post for just $6 every 4 weeks? Premium subscribers also get 3 extra accounts to share with friends and family, and special discounts and experiences from our partners. Go to washingtonpost.com/subscribe and get premium access to the Washington Post today. That's washingtonpost.com/subscribe. I'm Bim Adewunmi. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.